This is part 3 of planning a woodworking project. In this video, we are going to be doing our cutting diagram or lumber layout. To refresh your memory, we started off with a picture of a project that we'd like to build. That picture had a couple basic dimensions associated with it. From that, we were able to develop a sketch of our project with some dimensions, and from that picture we were able to identify each component and come up with a measurement for each of those components. From this parts list, we're going to create our cutting diagram, and we're going to be jumping back and forth a little bit between AutoCAD, or if you had graph paper, your graph paper drawings. We're going to spend a lot of the time on the parts list, and then we're going to add in this lumber layout. Now, the way this works is we have a fictitious board, this kind of theoretical board here. Every square on this board is 2 inches by 2 inches. The entire board is 6 feet long by 7 inches wide. This represents kind of a theoretical average board that we're going to use to lay out all of these parts that we need, so we can determine how many boards we need to buy from the lumber yard, or how much lumber we need. That's kind of our ultimate goal. Okay, so I'm going to shift some of these windows around just a little bit. And I am using my parts list as a checklist for all of these things that I need to make. So everything on the parts list are individual pieces that I need to actually build in the shop. So I'm going to start with the hardwood lumber first, and then we're going to do the plywood next. So we're going to start with the stiles, because that is solid lumber. It is, we need 2 of those. They are 2 inches wide by 47¼ inches long. So on my cutting diagram, we're going to get this set up here. There it is. It's hiding from me. So I'm going to create this stile that's 2 inches wide by 47¼ long. So 2 inches wide by, this is 48, so 47¼ is a little bit smaller than that. I'm going to adjust this a little bit to make it a little bit more clear. There we go. So that piece right there is one of those stiles. So I need 2 of those, so that's 2 of those stiles right there. Okay, now let's see if it'll let me add some text to it. See if it'll let me move it around. There we go. So stiles. So we'll put that right above it. That's our stiles. Okay. Now this here, this one is done. We have that on there. Next, we're going to do our top rail. That is 2 inches wide by 26 inches long. Let's just take one of these and resize it. So 2 inches wide, 24, 25, 26. Okay, I'm going to add this to this board because I still have room on this board for more pieces. I only need one of those top rails. So this one is done. Bottom kick plate, 4 by 26. Well, I can only get 24 out of here, and I can't get 4 out of here. That's only 3 inches wide. So I'm going to add another board. So 24, 25, 26 by 4. I need to be remembering to label these as well. So we have top rail. That's going to be that one right there, is my top rail. And this one is bottom kick plate rail. All right. So that takes care of this one right here. I'm going to skip the drawer fronts for right now because that uses a lot of lumber. We'll talk about that. The top I'm going to skip as well because that's solid lumber. And then we have this bottom rear lateral support, which could be either, and we got to lay out the plywood to see if we need that, and or if we have extra, as well as this one. So let's do the top. Okay, so this needs to be 16 inches wide by 32 inches long. These boards are only 7 inches wide, so I'm going to have to glue multiple boards together. So 36, 35, 34, 33, 32. So this would get me 7 inches wide by 32 inches long. Well, 7 inches isn't enough because I need 16 inches. So I'm going to have to cut another one of those and glue it together, essentially. Again, this is a theoretical board. So we are at 14 inches wide by 32, but I need 16. So I need an extra 2 inches. I could get 2 inches out of here. I could get 2 inches out of here. Let's go ahead and let's just lay it out first of all. So I need another piece like this. Let's go ahead and get that. I'm going to get that out of here, I think. We'll try that. And then we're going to label these parts. So this is top. 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 Right there. Top. Right there. Okay, so that's my top pieces. That takes care of the top. Then I have drawer front, 8 1/4 by 27, and I need 5 of those. So let's start by mapping some of this out first. So go ahead and copy one of these. So this is 7 by 8 1/4 by 27, or 5, 26, 27. Okay, so I would need 5 pieces like this, but then 5 additional pieces that are 1 1/4 inches, because this is 7 inches, I need 8 1/4. So 7 inches plus 1 1/4 gives me 8 1/4. I have 5 drawer fronts, so I need 5 of these. So I'm going to start by mapping out just 5 of these bigger pieces. So there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. This is drawer front. drawer front, drawer front, drawer front, and drawer front. So then I need to map out that additional 1¼ by 27. So this would be 27. So 1¼ would be right there. So I need 5 skinny little pieces like this. So I can get 1 out of there. I cannot fit any out of there. So that was 1. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We'll go ahead and label these. This is going to be drawer front, and those are these pieces. And this little skinny piece here, which I think I'll just go ahead and move that down. I don't know if we could squeeze it in there. We'll put it back. Drawer front. Right there. Okay. So I have my drawer fronts accounted for. If we take a look at the amount of waste material, okay, so all of this essentially is unusable. All of this essentially is unusable. We got a little bit down here. This is normal. And then some of these are getting kind of on the big side. And these right here. And because of the sizes of our parts, it's kind of problematic based on these theoretical boards. So we seem to have a fair amount of waste as we did our lumber layout. And again, that's because of the size of the boards used for the project. But we will continue because again, this is kind of a theoretical exercise in planning a project. So let's go ahead and do the plywood and see where we get with that. So if we keep going down, we have our plywood layout. Now we have both 3/4 inch plywood, we have 1/4 inch plywood, and we have 1/2 inch plywood. The easiest one to do is probably the 3/4 inch. So we're going to go 3/4 inch, and let's say we are building this out of a birch veneer. We'll have 1/2 inch. Let's say we're doing birch veneer. And let's say we have 1/4 inch birch veneer. Our 3/4 inch, we have the sides. That is the only 3/4 inch material. And our left and right side are 14¼ by 47¼ Now this is a theoretical sheet of plywood. It is 4 feet wide by 8 feet long, or 4 boxes wide by 8 boxes long. Each box is 1 foot by 1 foot. If we draw our rectangle here to simulate our side, so 16, so 12 would be here. So we want to go a little bit more. That's about 14¼ by 47¼ So just under 48. Right about there. Go ahead and modify this. And we're going to add a little bit of text. This is left/right side. And we need 2 of those. And those could either come like that, where you rip this at 16, or you could have that come out right here, where you cut it in half right here. Left, right side, okay? So this one is done. So we're going to move down to our 1/2 inch plywood next. This is the drawer sides, and I'm going to use AutoCAD to help lay this out on AutoCAD, and you can do this on graph paper as well, because I might be moving some pieces around. So let's start by making a sheet of plywood. 48 wide, 96 long. Okay, and we have our sides. They're all 6.5 wide. So I'm going to 6.5. And let's start with this 24-inch measurement. And this is what I was talking about in the previous video, how if I lay these out, it comes out perfectly. And the problem is we lose 1/8 of an inch by the saw blade, the kerf, and so we can't actually get 4 pieces out of that. And so we'll kind of lay this out and just see how it goes. Let's do, we're going to say this is one of our pieces, and we need 10 of those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this does leave a little extra material, which is good because we have that kerf we need to kind of account for. We have 7 of these. I'm going to go ahead and let's just add these in here. 8, 9, 10. And then we will do our 6.5 by 14. Maybe something like that. And that would get us 10 of those and 10 of those. Now, right now I see a lot of waste, which is costly and problematic, having that much waste. But we're going to continue, because again, this is more of a theoretical exercise. So let's slide that out of the way, and we're going to map this out. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm just copying what I have previously done. So that should be our 10 boards. And then we have 10 of these. And we can label these. This is going to be drawer, front, back, side. That's kind of all of these. Yep, that's all right. We'll set that on there. And then we have drawer, left, right, side. Those will kind of be those, and this one up there. Okay. Jump back to here. Now we have, so front, back, side. So that's looking good. So now we have our 1/4 inch plywood. We know this back 29 by 42. So 24 is right here. 36 is here, so we'd be looking about here. 29 by 48, 42 basically puts us about right here. And I'm going to map this out on AutoCAD too, just to make sure that we're being efficient. So we're going to go 42 by 29 1/4. That puts me right here. So that's my back. My drawer bottom, 24 1/2. And again, I got that measurement that concerns me, that it's 24 or over, a little bit over 24, because I can't get 4 pieces right next to each other. But we'll lay this out. So we got 13 1/2 by 24 1/2. So that's one of my pieces. And I need 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, I've got a bit of waste here. Sometimes you can't help that with certain project sizes. Sometimes you can modify the project size to minimize the amount of waste. Again, this is a theoretical project. So we got our drawer bottoms and we got our back. Okay. So what we are left with is these 2 lateral supports, and they are 28 1/2 inches long. One's 4, one's 2. So let's map this out first before we get too far ahead of ourselves. So these shelves, or the drawer bottoms, were 13 1/2 by 24 1/2. We have the back, and we have the drawer bottoms. All right, so coming back to this measurement here for the lateral supports in the back, we have 28.5 long. Now the material is 13/16. We could also probably change that to 3/4 and be fine. But if we take a look at our lumber layout, we do have a lot of extra space here, but let's see if we should be able to actually get both of these on here. So if we are doing 28.5, so 24, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 by 4 inches. And then another one here by 2 inches. So we have bottom, rear, lateral, support. That would be that one. We'd have top, rear, lateral, support. And that'd be that one. And that would finish off our list. Now, if we take kind of a wider view of this, I'm going to move this one up. Won't let me move the letters. That's all right. So this is waste down here. This is waste or extra material, extra material, extra material, extra material, extra material. Okay. So we have a fair bit of extra material. We have 1.5 feet here, a foot here, a little bit here, 1.5 feet here, 1.5 feet here, 1.5 feet there. So we do have more waste than I would like to see typically when I'm drawing up projects. The plywood cutting diagram, we could do a half a sheet of plywood and we have basically 1/3 of it as extra material. Here we'd have to do the whole sheet of plywood. Here we'd have to do the whole sheet of plywood. We have 1/3 of the plywood left. Here we have a little bit under 1/3 of the plywood left. So again, we have more material than I would prefer. But again, sometimes when you're doing these projects, it's just the way it is. Other times we can redesign the entire project and shrink some of the different sizes down to accommodate these. We could also think about shifting some of the materials around. For example, if we wanted the drawer bottoms out of 1/2 inch plywood, I think we could maybe see if we could fit all these on here, and then we'd only have to buy a half a sheet of 1/4 inch plywood instead of a whole sheet, and you would get better utilization here. Just for the heck of it, let's look at that to see if that would actually work. So I'm back in AutoCAD over here, and if I see, could we actually fit 5 pieces in here? One, two, no. We could fit like 3, so that wouldn't actually work to do that. So that does not help us. So it kind of is what it is with the lumber. As far as this part of the planning process, we have taken our entire parts list and we have transferred all of those pieces over. I am going to edit this if it allows me to. Because we decided on lumber for that, solid lumber. We have material for that. And so we took this parts list and we laid out each of these pieces onto the cutting diagram for both the hardwood lumber as well as the plywood, and that helped us determine how much we would need to buy. So that wraps up this portion of the planning process.